For Chapter 14 Minitab, here's the instructions, and the first part of the question is asking about understanding why people do or do not vote. And it says, use the data set, examine the relationship between the dependent variable, the percent of the population voting, and an independent variable of your choice, which could represent education, poverty, unemployment, crime, or income. Use interval data, which means quantitative data. And we're going to walk through not so much the hypotheses, but how to create the scatter plot. So what I chose to do for mine is I'm going to look at the percent of registered voters voting and SAT scores. And here's the hypotheses. You can go ahead and read those. And first we're going to do a scatter plot. So I'm going to go to Minitab. I've got the data set already opened up. And I'm going to go to Graph and Scatter Plot. And I'm just going to do a simple one. If you want to look at several variables, you could also do grouping on this one. We're just going to do a simple one. And I'm going to go ahead and select my variables, and this is the percent of the registered voters voting, and I'm looking at average SAT. And so I'm going to get a scatter plot here, and I can talk about what I see in that scatter plot. Do I think a linear relationship would be appropriate? And then the next part of the question asks us to find the following statistics. We want to find the constant, the slope or regression coefficient, R, the standard error of the slope, and so forth. Write the regression equation, how well does it fit, and then decide whether it supports the hypotheses. So let's go back over to Minitab. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a regression model. So to find this information, I want to go to Stats, Regression, and I'm going to go to Regression, and I'm going to fit a regression model. And what I'm going to put in here is I'm trying to predict the percent of the population voting, the registered voters voting. I'm going to select that here. And then up here, I was using the average SAT. And then if you want to go ahead and click in the results here, you can control what shows up. And I think you really just needed the simple tables, method, model summary, coefficients, and the regression equation. It should be sufficient for this project. And then hit OK. And so here's my output. Here's my regression model, here's my R squared, here's the analysis of variance table, here's the actual regression equation, which you'll actually use in part D, I think it is. Correlation coefficient, remember, is going to be the square root of R squared, so you can go ahead and calculate that. You can also calculate the correlation coefficient by using stat, basic stats, correlation, selecting those two variables, unclick display p-values, you don't need that, and then just hit OK, and there's the correlation coefficient, which in this case is the square root of 0.1325. And I'll let you go ahead and answer the remaining parts of this question. The second part of the question on this assignment is to create a multiple regression model. And it's up to you to pick 4 to 5 independent variables and then talk about the relationship that we see. And so I'm going to talk about public school expenditures as the response variable, and I'm going to look at a number of variables as the predictors. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Stat, Regression, Regression, Fit Regression Model. And this time I'm going to look at public school expenditures, which is in C14. And then I'm going to look at a variety of variables to predict for that. I'm going to use, let's see, public school enrollment, which is in C12. Public school faculty in C13, the SATs that we were using before, and also an income variable. So I'm going to put in mean family income, which is down here. Alright, and I don't think I need to, again, if I wanted to, I could click on results to control what I'm going to see, but I'm going to keep the same output that I had before. And then if I hit OK, now I've got a lot more information in this table. Again, I've got my R squared up here. I notice it's very high. And now here, remember the t-values that we see for the different parts of the model. And we're looking for, remember, t-values roughly 2 or greater. And then there's the p-values associated. Here's the regression equation. And in this case here, it looks like everything really helps my regression model, with maybe the exception of the constant, which is doesn't have a significant p-value, and perhaps the SAT total, which is not p-value not less than 0.05. However, it's less than 0.1, so I may still want to keep that in the model. So hopefully this will help you as you're working on your Chapter 14 Minitab work.